In this video and future videos, I want to talk more about the characters that I have created in Enchanted Forest that you have met so far if you have listened to the show. If not, then you can also hear about these characters before you go into the show. So I wanted to make these videos short because I want to go further with the characters by seasons. So I'm not going to reveal too much about them because I wanted to be a fun surprise as you go further in. So we're just going to do these characters. This is based on the first season of these characters that I'll be talking about. So let's go ahead and talk about our first character, the main character that I do the voice for, and many other characters. But let's talk about Mick, the Wizard Goblin. Now, Mick lives in the center of the Enchanted Forest in a house. And the area that he lives in the middle of the Enchanted Forest is called the Evergreen Woods. And in this house, normally every day, his normal life, he likes to work on potions, cast magic, explore the forest, and mainly work on his garden. He loves his garden. He's a big garden person. And that's because, you know, his master kind of got him into that, which so far you find out that he has a master, but we don't know where he is or where he at the moment. So he basically lives by himself for the time being. And of course, this changes when Dorn, the bugbear, comes in and crashes home fighting an orc. And from there, they started building this friendship. But Mick is not a fan of it because Mick is a character that you slowly start learning that he likes being by himself, but personally doesn't like to be alone. So even though he's annoyed by everybody, he does like the company. So that starts introducing more characters coming in, like Francis the Deer, Vivi the Fairy, villains and other characters that Mick and Dorn run into, because Dorn ends up staying with him because the fact that Mick saved his life. So Dorn feels like he owes Mick his life or serves him until he did his duties, or if he saves him from something, give or take. So when I was working on Mick's voice and whatnot, I always had this voice when I was little growing up, and still to this day, that I always had this weird Weasley voice where it always sounds like a little guy that's always upset about something and always annoyed by somebody. So that was my main focus for that. And so from my failed project, Welcome to the Party, that contains a story about three characters that wanted to be heroes. And the character that the Goblin was in, that one was named Wisecrack, and a big guy named Dorn, that were basically annoyed by humans and wanted to, kill them. So after that failed project, I liked that character, but I wanted to change a little bit about him, and I took him and Dorn into this project and really made them the main focus. And I always a big fan of the little guy and the big guy kind of walking around. The small guy that talks a lot of crap, talks a lot of smack, and the big guy that can always back him up because he's the muscle and everything like that. We've seen this in a lot of animation, but I think the one I would pick that stood out to me for this would be Roxy and Muggsy from the old Looney Tune cartoons. Basically two gangsters, and I think they were influenced by Of Mice and Men, the book. So I wanted to use that, but in this particular way, Mick really doesn't need Dorn's help at the time, because Mick can deal with magic and he can solve the whole thing. But Mick in this audio drama is basically your tour guide. So when you listen to the show, his goal is, for us listening, is he kind of gives you the tour of what the forest is about, what section they're in, who are the characters and whatnot. And Dorn kind of represents the audience. He's the one that's learning about this forest and learning about how to live in this forest and how to deal with it, and trying to figure out information that Mick could, give him. So I really enjoy the fact that Mick is that kind of character that easily gets annoyed, because I think we all have that, where we easily get annoyed by certain things people do and stuff, but you still want to help them out in some sort of way. So I see that a lot with Mick, and from there I'm hoping that we'll see more growth with Mick, with all my characters basically. But that's all I want to talk about in the first season for Mick. And as we go on, I hope that you enjoy and maybe subscribe, see what happens there. Thank you.